We come to the Styrian Hills. It's the Red Bull Ring, and we are go here for round 4, and it's Robert De Haan leading. We're side by side for the lead. Marvin Klein trying to get the cutback on his teammate, and it is all kicking off in the early stages. Teo Overhouse is out of the race, our championship leader. Marvin Klein will lead a BWT Lechner Racing 1-2 on home soil.
Well, hello everyone, it is time for the Porsche Mobil 1 Supercup to return back in action. After 1 month away from Austria, we go to some incredible venue at Spa. This is round 5 of the championship. We are getting ready to qualify around this 7-kilometer racetrack, 4.3 miles in total and 19 turns for these drivers to try and attempt to navigate. It is one amazing racing venue. Marvin Klein has the race lap record here from 1 year ago, and the top speed, as you can see, is reached at turn number 5, but we don't use corner names around this place. It is all about the turn names, which is Le Com down there at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Well everyone, hello, it is great to have your company, and it's great to have you all back in the Super Cup as well. It has been quite the season so far, and it's great to continue it here in round 5 of the championship. We've got a green light at the end of the pit lane, and we've got the drivers pushing on and making their way through, which is really, really nice to see indeed as well at the moment, as they all get the push going. And it's the Porsche Super Cup from Spa. We've seen some dramatic moments around this place in the past, and we are hoping to add some great racing to the record as well around this place, with the Spa changes that are planned in terms of it not being annual, with it not being every single year. This is very, very important to enjoy these moments of Super Cup at Spa, because of course we stick with the Formula 1 calendar, so we are going to be affected in a big way, and we won't get to enjoy this glorious location for a year, and then we'll get to have it again, and then we won't. So it's all going to be switching around, but whatever tracks we have, hopefully they can deliver us with some great racing. And as the story so far showed you, Chris McCarthy, of course, the World Feed commentator, as it showed you there, it was all action, it was all crazy, and it was Lechner Racing picking up race victory. What a brilliant, brilliant moment for them. An incredible performance, and they will be hoping to try and replicate it once again. It was a 1-2 for them, but Lechner Racing's rival, especially last year, are called Schumacher CLRT, and Alessandro Giretti is the driver who's going to try and lead them throughout today's session. We've got the cars making their way on the outlap, so it's a session that is happening slightly earlier, just a little bit earlier than what they would be used to here in all of these European races that we have on the calendar. And that is because, of course, it's a sprint weekend, so we are running about 1 hour. We are running 1 hour earlier than the usual start time that we have in the Porsche Supercup. Only 1 hour though. All of the other series usually have to move around quite a bit, but the Supercup maintaining its session slots throughout this year. But of course, with it being a sprint, we have to leave a little bit more of a gap between the previous session and then the F1 sprint, with it being a race and the entire build-up procedure that goes on with it. Okay, we have gone through the final corner and we are hurtling our way down towards Les Sources. The drivers will be building up at the moment, so don't worry, it won't all be pushed. It won't just all be pushed straight away. It is a long lap, of course, so lap times can be limited. Track limits can be a factor. There were so many drivers pinged about track limits when it came to practice earlier on. And, well, Giretti has decided to push on this time by. So, unlike the approach that we've seen with the single seaters, of course, the Supercup is able to get the tyres warmed up quicker, and we can get to the push. But of course, this is really just a banker lap. We're going to go quicker and quicker and quicker, as we always do, across these qualifying sessions. All over the curve, through Malmedy. We throw it down to either Rivage or Bruxelles. I'll let you decide what you want to call that, because when you have a motor racing circuit for over a century, that is exactly the type of things that you get. Different corner names for the same corner. We were just getting through Speaker's Corner, No Name Corner, Jackie X, whatever you guys want to call that, and then we get down to Pouhon, and then it's finishing off the second sector on a high, is what I would like to call it. The right, then throw it left, and then it's bring it all the way to the end of this lap, to the Faniak chicane, and now your foot to the floor as you go through. Try and wrestle with the car mid apex as well. Foot to the floor, as I mentioned. You've got Blanchim on a fast part of the circuit coming up. You will make your way by, go as wide as possible to get the brilliant turn in, and it's exactly what he's done. He's kept it within the white lines, was nearly outside. Nearly went a bit too hot in there, into the bus stop chicane. Use the curb, part 1, part 2, slightly less curb used on part 2. Come over all the way till the end, go right up towards the right hand side barrier, come across the line, and that's a 2 minute 20.006 for Alessandro Giretti. He's set the lap time for the rest of the drivers to beat. It is a Schumacher CLRT 1 and 2 for the moment. You've got Giretti, then you've got Flint Shearing, and you've got Dirk Schuten, who goes into third, only for a moment though. That now belongs to Janne Stian. Stian, rookie driver. And then Dehaan's found himself in 5th. Marvin Klin is in 9th. So, loads of different lap times coming into play. The fans watch on in the grandstands, and they watch on a motor racing circuit like no other. We weren't at Silverstone, of course, in the Supercup, but we are now back, going from Red Bull Ring to Spa-Francorchamps as well. Here we go for Shearing. We mentioned that he would. We mentioned that these drivers would immediately try and improve the lap times that they've managed. The lap time coming in there for Burton, going up to 12th position. Jalbert making his way by. Lap time being deleted, thrown to the bottom for Theo Overhouse, which you can see. The live timings unfortunately don't have the numbers once again like it was last round rather. I was about to say last week, but in the Super Cup we had to wait a month, everybody, since the last round. Both Schumacher CLRT cars pushing on at the moment. We are coming towards the end of the lap with these two drivers. It is a personal best Sector 1, Sector 2 for Shearing, for Giretti. It's a PB in Sector 1, but not going quicker through Sector 2. We'll see in a moment where it all adds up with him as he comes across the line now, and Giretti still goes quickest of all. That's by 1 entire second, and then Shearing wins the gap to 2.5 tenths of a second to his teammate. Dehaan goes to P3, joined by his teammate, who gets displaced by Jalbert, then Huub van Eindhoven, then Schuten, and then we find ourselves with Benjamin Pack, who's got himself in there. It all changes so quickly, everybody, in the Super Cup. You get improvement on improvement on improvement. Van Lagen now gets there as well. One of the OGs of the Super Cup. Robert Dehan this season trying to make a name for himself though, isn't he? He wants it to be his year. He wants this to completely belong to him. And he'll be prepared. He'll do everything he can to make that the case. Surely a lap time deleted there for Clint because he's now in 22nd place. So more lap times going. It's going to be the story of lap times being deleted. It's just the way this circuit functions, everybody. It's just the way it works. Yellow flags are flying around this circuit at the moment. So is there a moment for any of the drivers? Will be interesting to see as Clint continues his push. Oh no! Into the gravel we go with Francesco Maria Finici. And the red flag is out. The red flag is out for Finici, who's found the gravel. And bar Monaco, we've had limited amounts of red flags. But Francesco Maria Finici facing the wrong way. La Source corner. So he's gone straight on there. He's found the gravel. It means the red flag is out. And it is over to the marshals as they try to recover that Mobil 1 Super Cup car. Sending it into turn 1. La Source goes in deep anyway. Spins it around. Goes sideways into the gravel. Now it's facing the wrong way. And gets beached. Oh my word! That is a big moment for one of the drivers. I would think that is either Jaap van Lagen or it's either Jaap van Lagen, I believe, or it could be Gus Burton as well. So it could be those two drivers. We'll bring you further information on that. But basically what happened there was we arrived down into Lecombe and one of those drivers going straight on, trying to make an overtake and then nearly hitting the car ahead but then having to go to the runoff. So that was either the number 5 of Gus Burton or it was the 4 of Van Lagen. Considering the car livery that we had there. Okay, speed trap. 237 reached by Giretti at the moment. Well, I mean our data suggested that it was 273. That was the top speed that the drivers could reach around this Spa circuit. So, you've got a lot of drivers heading into their pit box, which you can't really call a pit box because they all go sideways into it, but a lot of them doing what we would do in race format, and that's lining up at the end of the pit lane and waiting to get going that way. On board we go with Marvin Klim. You can hear the reverse of the recovery truck, we believe, that is out there right now. We haven't seen it, we can hear it though. We can hear it at the moment. Okay, let's get the green flags back out around this circuit in a few moments time. Perfect stuff. Great to see. I mean, everyone heard that. Great to see the fans cheering as Finici walks away. That was really nice. That was really nice. Really, really nice. And you know, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen often, but it's nice to see that we haven't had a shot of the fans. It's nice to see a lot of them are still stuck in the grandstands enjoying a bit of Porsche Supercup. Because, you know, everyone's building up to the F1 sprint. But if you buy a ticket, then why not enjoy all of the action? And Super Cup is a different experience to every single other thing that you have this weekend, including F1, F2, F3. You have the Super Cup, so nice to see everyone cheering as walking away was Finici. And they'll be cheering the marshals on in a few moments who are recovering that car. Disappointment for the Italian driver, whose day does not go longer than 10 minutes, unfortunately. Really 9 minutes and 20 seconds. He got to enjoy, but he'll be back and he'll be ready to get going with the racing tomorrow. You'll have to ask permission to start, of course, but everything should be okay with that. He should be able to get himself all set and ready. Okay, Jobert being pushed back as we get ready for them to make their way out onto the circuit. Okay, well, it is time to get an interview from the head.
It's a challenging condition in Spa because of the length of the track, so you have to realize that the drivers don't have that much opportunity to adapt in Le Rédillon, for example. They will have only few laps to adapt. And also in qualify, the window for using the tires will be maybe 1 lap, maybe 2 if we are lucky and if the weather is not that hot. So for the drivers it's really challenging.
Felipe Alvarez, who is the team boss, as I mentioned, of Martin by Alvarez, as you can pretty much tell, was telling us there, great to get some insight, but he was explaining to us a bit about especially that Radion Erouge complex. You go up through Erouge, you get to the top of the hill, which is Radion. Don't worry, we're not going to give you another history lesson of how this circuit works. Jihan on the radio.
Just that you know, Marvin is P22, he needs 1 lap. So if you can have a bit of slipstream around you down the first camel straight, and if you move out of the way, he definitely needs a lap. The tires are gone inside, but he needs to improve his car and lap time. Copy that.
Okay, well, interesting stuff there, but I'm slightly a bit confused in terms of that as well, to some degree, because, yeah, you always want to help your teammate, but I feel like everything's okay at this point of the season, but I thought it was a bit more frosty considering they are really the 2 title contenders, to some degree as well. So how's this one going to go then? How is this one going to play out is my question. As the drivers attack their way by around this circuit. What a season it's been of the Porsche Supercup so far. It's been a very, unfortunately, it's been a very shortened season to some degree in terms of the red flags and delays we've been getting across races this season. Across the line we go with Marvin Clint on the power on the exit of La Source, and then you drag up towards Erouge and Radion. These Super Cup cars can get quite sideways. Fantastic pictures as they go through and now arrive down this Kemmel Straight, which will be a big overtaking opportunity. They'll be flashing the headlights in the race 100%. And Clint 3/10 away from Giretti at the moment, but it's not 3/10 which he's worried about. His aim is to just get a lap time on the board at the moment. That is what he'll be hoping, that is what he'll be praying for. Clint through Jackie X. And then downhill we go to Pouon. This fast Pouon corner. Brilliant sound as he goes through. And that's another thing that the fans get to enjoy. You'd think that the F1s are the loudest, but no. It's this. It is the Porsche Supercup. These machines are absolute beast. For these drivers to handle, and for us trying to view them. But this is a very competitive championship. So yeah, let's go through your championship right now, because we haven't done that yet. But it's Robert Dehan who leads your championship at the moment with 52.5 points. Unfortunate situation if you're bad with numbers like me, but we're gonna have to make work for the rest of this season. That is for sure. Okay, it is Dehan who is 2 points to Giretti with 50.5 as well. It's close between your top two. And then you've got Overhouse and Clint, who find themselves next in the order, 3rd and 4th position. So that's how the championship standings look at the moment. We will bring you up to date in that, with that in a moment's time though. It is currently at the moment Giretti, then Schuring, Dehan's in the pit lane. So he was like, oh, if you want me to prioritise Clint, I'm just going to go to the pit lane. Sam Shaheen out wide through Malmedy as he was pushing on and in the process distributing a bit of gravel. I say distributing, probably wasn't the best distribution, was it? Because he dug some from, his car went over a bit of gravel, he dug some out of a certain part of it and flicked it onto the rest, which already has enough gravel. Maybe not, maybe not. Wouldn't say that's fair distributing, Mr. Sam Shaheen. You can tell we are building up at the moment to the actual push. And you can tell we've still got 14 minutes and 40 seconds to go. But when you sign up to Porsche Supercup, and especially to qualifying, you know you're just going to get me and the sounds of Porsche Supercup cars. So it is quite a lot of fun. But yeah, I do have to say a huge thank you to everyone who has joined us across our Supercup coverage this year. It has been an absolute pleasure to bring you the races, and they have been an absolute joy to cover along with these qualifyings. I've really enjoyed them so far this season, and you can tell we're enjoying another round together, aren't we? We are enjoying another round together at the moment. We'll be enjoying the whole season together. By this point, everybody, do not worry. The Super Cup continuing to deliver with amazing wheel-to-wheel combat as well, and moves that go down to corners, along with lap times that are extraordinary. And I think Havicourt could be about to produce a brilliant lap at Spa, unless he's come into the pit lane. He has come into the pit, as is so many drivers. So he's like, okay, we'll go out again later. Yeah, so they're like, we'll go out later. As Giretti, who's a Porsche Junior, just getting his back of the car sorted in terms of the spoiler and everything. You have at the back of that Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. A bit of news. We are going to be getting a new car. There's been a new 911 Cup car design, so I'd assume they're going to be bringing it over to us for next year. So this era of the Super Cup will be coming to an end. It has been an era, I believe, since 2020. We've covered the championship since 2023 here on JB Motorsports, and now all eyes go to 2026. One thing I would absolutely love is if we are able to see the cars follow a bit more closer, especially at circuits like Imola or at Spain, just so that overtaking can become a little bit more easier, because to some degree I think sometimes we can lack at those circuits, or at Austria for example, or here, we're all okay. But we'd love to have 8 rounds in a season. I mean, I'd love more. I don't feel like we have enough. But I'd love 8 rounds if we can of just super cupping. Completely. To the best level. That's a word, by the way, I've come up with. Super cupping. That is a phrase which I came up with. Super cupping. It's just some of the fun that we have. We make our way through. Shooting. Now, Doug Shooting had a big accident here. A few months ago, there was a Porsche Carrera Cup race going on, and he suffered a huge accident. There was a few other drivers involved. They were going very nearly 5 wide, heading down to Blanchimont, and there was a huge accident. Doug Shooting went sideways there, and he hit the wall hard. Was in hospital for a bit, but recovery was nice, and Doug Shooting made it out, which was great to see. But a huge accident, so it's not all easy returning back straight away. But he's a driver who wants redemption. He's a driver who wants to fight and get some good results, get more rookie podiums, get a rookie win, get even possibly some more. Get overall wins, that's what he'll want. Well, Doug Shooting. On what will also be a tough weekend for a lot of drivers. It'll definitely be a tough weekend, as it always is coming to Spa. As a lot of them will be remembering Antoine Hubert, and quite a lot of them are Dutch as well. So they'll definitely have Delano Van 't Hoff in mind, who I'm sure would have been friends with quite a few of these drivers. 2023, unfortunately, is when we lost Delano Van 't Hoff, and today is his birthday, the 26th of July. Today is his birthday, or was gonna be his birthday, and it's a shame that we don't have that talented driver with us, because it would have been great for him to be on this weekend, and I'm sure he would have been on this weekend, either in F3 or even, who knows, in F2, showing us his craft and showing us his talent. But motorsport can have its highs, but it can have its lows as well. But what the motorsport community will continue to do is ensure that drivers like Hubert, like Van 't Hoff, don't get forgotten, and every time we race it, they will be in our thoughts. And every time we come here, Pierre Gasly has organised the track run that takes place, which he's done every single year since Hubert's crash. So when we came here in 2020, he did it, and he's done it ever since. In recent times also, of course, including Delano Van 't Hoff since 2023. And F1, F2, F3, and I'm 100% sure, even though it doesn't really get mentioned much, but Porsche Supercup drivers were 100% there as well, involved in that track run. But yeah, a difficult time for the sport on those two occasions. But what they did very well is came together and put on a show. I remember Porsche Supercup, their Austria race in 2023 on the weekend where we had Delano Van 't Hoff's news. That was on a different weekend. Of course, he was racing and Frecker was Delano Van 't Hoff, but still, everyone at Austria was quite hurt, and these drivers went out there, raced a day later, and gave us a crazy race, I remember, in 2023. But of course, the big one being Antoine Hubert's death, where these drivers were actually on that weekend, where they would have been having their debrief, they would have been having their meetings, and then they look up on the screen and actually see it, and see that huge incident, and ambulances roaring past. Would not have been easy, and then they were the ones, along with Formula 3, to go out there and race for Antoine a day wouldn't even call it a day. The news came out in the evening. They went out there in the morning. F3 and the Super Cup, both putting on a show. The Porsche Supercup went down to the last lap. It went all the way till the last corner of the last lap in the battle for the win. That is how much of a show these drivers were able to put on. But as always, we put our head down and put full focus on the job at hand as we continue our journey in motorsport of racing for Gelano and Antoine Hubert. Okay, Francesco Braschi making his way to the bus stop chicane. The driver in 25th position, trying to see whether an improvement lies ahead. Across the line we go. P4 is the answer. That is the fastest last sector that we have seen from a driver in this session. Hyper competitive stuff from Francesco Braschi, able to find the time for a driver that is low down in the championship standings. Dirk Schuiten is only 3 thousandths away from Giretti, so Schuiten's finding the time. What a middle sector that is from Dirk Schuiten, who is really gunning for it. All eyes to Dirk Schuiten. The Dutch driver arrives at the bus stop chicane. Well, we were mentioning the big crash he had at Blanchimont in the Porsche Carrera Cup earlier on this year. He's come back to Spa. He's in the Mobil 1 Super Cup now, and he's shooting to the top of the table. Dirk Schuiten goes quickest of all. It was purple, second and third sector. Huub van Eindhoven goes to P3. And Schuring goes, or will be going in a few moments, through this second and third sector, the exact phase that Schuiten just went through at the moment. What a lap time though by Dirk Schuiten, the quickest driver at the moment. Schuring, Giretti, Schumacher CLRT car, second and fourth. Look to now try and reply, and look to try and respond. As it stands though, we are heading to another new pole sitter in the name of Dirk Schuiten. But of course, De Haan would not want that to be the case, and he's going quickest of all in the middle sector. Okay, 3 minutes and 35 seconds to go. Sometimes these sessions, the drivers don't get a final lap with the clock at 0, so these can be the important runs. Flint Schuring making his way out of the final corner. The driver currently in P4 was on pole position in Spain. Comes across the line. Lap time deleted there. Further back. Schuring to the top. Beaten immediately by his teammate. Giretti goes to P1. De Haan goes to third. Jalbert is in fifth. Up to P4 goes Pack. Haverkort's in 6th. And then Keegan Masters is in 8th. Over to Huub van Eindhoven. He is only 43 thousandths away. The driver, who right now is 1.3 seconds away, is going to try and put some pressure at least on for the front row. Here we go. Is he going to be able to do it? Through the fast Blanchimont we go. And now, heading down towards. Lap time deleted there for Schuiten. No! Dirk Schuiten's had a lap time deleted. As well, he was running high up there. Was searching for a personal best, and he's found the improvement for 8th. So Schuiten finds another lap time. Huub van Eindhoven going for the front row. Going for pole. No! It's P7. He can't get there, and you've got 4 GP Elite drivers together. Incredible stuff. Let's take a look at Van Eindhoven. He went wide. He tipped a tyre into the gravel. Wow. Remarkable stuff. So it's Giretti at the front, Schuring has something to say about it though. He will try beat his teammate in what could be the final opportunity in this qualifying session. Burton, P14. It's all on the line. There are major improvements at the end of this qualifying session. Yanis Diak is in P7. Schuring, though, was going quicker than our current pole sitter and his teammate. Oh, Doug Schutten with a second lap time deleted. Doug Schutten is going to drop down once again. A big disappointment for the driver who looked to have so much pace. Talking about pace, Schuring's pace right now is going quicker than his teammate. Is it going to reflect on the timing board? No. It's still going to be second place. But watch Jalbert. Watch Jalbert in the background. Jalbert across the line. It's only good enough for 6th. Marvin Klin is P8. That's not what Klin wants. He's down. Our most recent race winner in the Super Cup is all the way in 8th. Ascona goes to 11th. Is there anyone who can improve? Is there anyone who can find the time? Overhouse's time is gone. He's dropped down all the way to 19th. What a disappointment for him. A major disappointment. His lap time is gone. Tauscher goes up to 10th. But it looks like, unless there is anyone who can deny him, it will be Alessandro Giretti on pole position with Flint Schuring, his teammate, alongside. Well, it was a 1-2 in Spain when all of the lap times were deleted, but it was Schuring ahead. Now it's Giretti. The checkered flag is flying. It is the end of qualifying. The yellow flags are out. Is that a car round, or is that just signalling the end of this session? Does anyone have a push left? Does anyone have anything left to try and get to a faster time? There is traffic absolutely everywhere on this circuit. There is traffic everywhere on this circuit. Marvin Klin flashing the headlight there to the Schumacher CLRT driver as he still tries to improve, surely. But he's going to get blocked by traffic here. He's trying to signal to the drivers. What the flashing the headlight is doing here, he's trying to signal to the drivers that I want a push lap. So Klin's in 7. That's someone getting a time deleted there. It is all changing, and it's all going to change continuously. Havercourt's down in Sector 2. And he's having to go through a obby. Like, you know those Roblox obbies there are? He's having to go through that because there's cars left, cars right, and he's been blocked. That's lap time gone. Disappointment for them, but Schumacher CLRT are ensured that they are on pole position. And it is going to be Giretti on pole for the first time in the Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup. He'll be the driver to lead us away on Grand Prix Sunday. What a superb performance from Giretti. He's beaten his teammate by 0.04 of a second. 900ths down to Dehan. Then it's Benjamin Pack. What a performance from him as well. Levy completing the top 5. We'll go through the full results in a moment. But wow. Wow, just wow. Now, if you are Cas Havercourt, you will be frustrated about being blocked. Let's hear from him. There we go. If you didn't believe me, it literally comes up a few seconds later. The satisfaction is achieved. The relaxation is achieved. Because after a tough, demanding qualifying session, our result is, it's a Schumacher CLRT 1-2. But it's not Schuring on pole this time. It is Giretti. So Giretti with his first pole of the season. We've had Dehan on pole twice. We've had Overhouse get a pole as well. That was at Imola. And Flint Schuring in Barcelona. Here's our pole setup.
Thank you guys for the car. Thank you very much. So now I just like this to life, right? But thank you very much. Good job.
What a incredible session that was. A great qualifying session in all honesty. Quite remarkable to see how that all unfolded. I can absolutely guarantee you the fact that tomorrow's race could get interesting in the wet, especially if it is in the wet. Wouldn't mind a dry race, but if it is to rain, then who knows what we could see. But it was a lap time to perfection by Alessandro Giretti, who's put himself as the pole man for tomorrow's race, our 5th contest of the year. And first pole positions always feel special. Just mean a little bit more. You only get to live this feeling once in the Porsche Supercup, of being able to call yourself the driver to take your first pole. Alessandro Giretti, for the first time ever, will lead us away on Grand Prix Sunday. He'll be joined by his teammate Flint Schuring, who will be in second. Dehan Falekna Racing is in third, and then it's Benjamin Pack, who's in P4, and then we find ourselves with Levy, Jalbert, Klin, Eindhoven, Stiak, Borekamps, and then it's Troyas in 11th, then Havercourt, Tauscher, Masters, Van Lagen, Shooting with a few lap times deleted, then Amati, Deli Garanti, Overhouse in 19th, and then we find ourselves with Frastante, Burton, Martinez, Mason, Shaheen, Braski, and Francesco Maria Finici, who unfortunately found himself beached in the gravel earlier on in the session. Well, what an incredible Porsche Mobil 1 Supercup session it has been. The fans will now get ready and prepare for the F1 sprint that is coming up in a few moments' time. That is it in the Porsche Mobil 1 Supercup. We say thank you very much for joining us in this qualifying session. It is a first ever pole position for Flint Schuring. It is going to be the same front row from Spain, but it's in a reversed order. Can Schuring put the pressure on his teammate? What can Robert Dehan do? So many question marks ahead of our 5th race of the year. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.